All right. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our another lecture for office simulation. And for today's lecture, it is somehow a continuation of my previous lectures, which is all about recruitment and job application. Okay. Na kung saan previously, I gave you a simulation activity to apply for a job, and for you to submit your job application via email. Okay. Now, and supposedly, I had this plan to schedule each of you for an actual or a simulation job interview activity with a recruitment team. However, because medyo madami kayo in my office simulation subject and my team is also having a lot on their plates, no, lalo na they have a lot of start of the year and quarterly reports to accomplish. And it happens na previously may ilang weeks na may ilan weeks tayong nakaakad and health break, no? Then after naman na experience let's say COVID like symptoms, no, and I don't have the voice to do the lectures and the energy to do that, no, kasi supposedly is my plan talaga is for you to experience a job interview simulation activity together with my recruitment team, okay, for you to actually experience and to know how it feels being interviewed for a job application. But since this is the last week of our semester, unfortunately hindi na natin siya magagawa. Okay, now but anyhow, for today's lecture, I'll give you lectures or tips for you to prepare for a job interview. Okay, now so from our last lecture, I give you tips on how to properly send your application via email. Okay, for today, I'll give you tips on how to properly, how to prepare, how to properly create your resume and how to prepare for a job interview. No, which is I particularly thought these tips that I'm going to share with you now when I used to teach work immersion, office personality development, and business writing before, no, in which I went so far on teaching my students through the entire hiring process, now from resume to application to interview, now for them or for you to become prepared with the actual hiring process. Okay, then actually it is a good thing that you have this kind of subject or course in your curriculum. No, kasi sa ibang programs, I think ito yung something na nami-miss out nila. No, nakaka-graduate sila na wala silang first-hand experience when it comes to job application and job interview. No, kaya pagka-graduate nila, no, at the moment na nag-decide sila na mag-apply, hindi nila alam kung saan sila magsisimula. No, hindi nila alam kung paano and ano yung gagawin sa resume. No, kung ano yung sasabihin and uh, how the entire process takes place, no? Kung nagkataon sana na nag face to face tayo, no, you will be deployed sana in the different offices for you to be really in a simulation, no, in an office field. No, it just happens na we are taking this course while we are still in a pandemic situation and nagkakaroon ng mga iba't ibang variants, no, and nagpaulit-ulit yung mga alert levels, no. Um Yun nga, it just happens na medyo nasa unfortunate na situation tayo, no, and that's one of the disadvantage that we have, kaya limited lang no yung magiging experience nyo for office simulation. And the only thing that I can do no is to give you backgrounds or to give you tips, no, or to give you something what to expect, no, or what to do. No, but definitely you will also come to the point that you will learn no from the actual experience, no, or on the actual workplace scenario, no, na talagang once you graduate, at least you know what to expect. Okay, and hopefully these lectures that I'm giving you, that I will give you today, especially the lectures that I give you in the office simulation subject, can really help you no? Now, in these tips that I will share with you, no, not only come from my teaching experience, no, teaching these kinds of lecture, but also from my experiences going out, no, finding work, since my working experiences are also relatively broad, no, and I also have the experience to be a recruitment head, no, in one of the startup digital marketing business, which is nung nakaraan pinakita ko sa inyo yung EXP, no. So the perspective that I will share with you is more on as a person, no, who has the experience in finding a job, and as a person with experience looking for someone, no, to hire in a job. Okay? So let's start with giving you tips on what you should do, or what you should not do, or what you should not include, no, in your resumes. Okay? So let's start with the first one, which is don't lie. Okay, you should not lie. Okay, I cannot emphasize this enough because it is something that you can also comprehend. No, don't write any lies in your resume. No, kasi minsan it is tempting to write down some details, no, na sa tingin nyo magbo-boost up or magpapaganda sa profile nyo, especially for fresh grads, no, na kunwari you want to declare that you, let's say that you have some expertise or experiences or achievements, pero hindi naman pala totoo. No, you don't need to do that because lalabas at lalabas ang totoo. Okay? No, hindi mo kailangan mag-declare ng something sa resume mo na hindi naman pala totoo just because you wanted to show that you have some eligibilities, no, para lang magkaroon ng malaking chance na ma-hire. Okay? And I'm telling you to avoid this because I have an experience before, no, na kung saan I have a colleague or I have an office mate before who pretended na meron siyang mga managerial certifications or managerial trainings na inattendan niya, managerial trainings attended, no, for him to be qualified to one of the managerial positions. Okay? No, na kung saan after a year of working in that company, no, akala niya siguro nakalusot na siya, no? Then for us to find out na fake lang pala yung mga dineclare niyang eligibilities and certifications na dineclare niya, no? And the truth comes out when HR did some spot checking, no? Meron pa akong isang personal na nakakilala, no, na is one of my staffs, na kung saan pinapaprocess ko na sana siya for review, no, for promotion, and on that review na found out na kung saan yung dineclare niyang civil service eligibility ay hindi pala siya totoong nakapasa, no, nameke siya ng document to show that he passed this civil service exam, no. No, madalas kasi yung HR department ay nagkakaroon niya ng random na spot checking, no, sa mga employees. Okay? So akala nila nakalusot na siya, pero pagdating ng panahon, no, mabubuking din, no? Ika nga walang lihim ang hindi nabubunyag, no? Now, in those persons, hindi lang yung kanilang employment ang nawala, no? Kasi fired na rin sila, no, right away. And aside from nawala ang kanilang employment, no, nawala na rin including their benefits. No, ang pinakamahirap and pinakamasakit doon is mawawala, no, and masisira na rin yung integrity mo. No, kasi nagkaroon ka na ng bad records, no? Masisira ka na papaano ka pa makakahanap ng trabaho, no? Kasi kung akala nyo na once you get fired, no, or once you resign sa isang company and you apply sa isa pang company is hindi malalaman. No, malalaman yan because if let's say you apply, no, into a new company, no, that company will request for you to get a clearance, no, from your previous employer, no, and that is to check if you have, let's say, a good record or nagkaroon ka ba ng gracious exit with your previous employers, no, or kung meron ka bang bad record, no. Kaya that's why, no, kahit na minsan it is tempting to add such details sa resume or kahit na sabihin na natin na ginagawa ng iba, no, I'm hoping na hindi nyo na gawin, no, kasi papaano kung unfortunately ikaw yung natapat sa random na spot checking ng HR department, no, ikaw yung natapat sa background checking and they found out the truth. No, mahirap na magkaroon ng red marking sa background nyo. No, so hindi worth it na it is something na hindi worth it na risk na i-take. No, so don't lie in declaring details sa resume nyo. No, huwag kayong magsisinungaling, huwag kayong magpapanggap, and huwag kayong mag-iimbento kung hindi naman totoo. No, kasi the truth will always leak out. All right? So next, ayan, no unnecessary information in your resume. Okay? The second thing that you should do is to avoid unnecessary information in your resume. Okay? In writing a resume, ilagay nyo lang yung mga necessary and relevant information na related dun sa trabaho, no, na pinag-a-applyan mo. Okay? And these are some examples, no, of those unnecessary information so that you need to remove in your resume, no? As you can see on the list, no? Kasi this is what I've noticed, no, sa ilan sa mga resumes na sinubmit ninyo, and I attach some screenshots, no, from those resumes that you submitted on your application simulation activity, no? Tinakpan ko na lang yung mga ibang details na baka magkaroon kayo ng hint or ng clue kung sino yung mga yan. Okay? Now, may ilan kasi sa inyo na may mga in-indicate pang mga ganyang details. Now, yung mga in-indicate na hobbies and interests, may mga weight and height pa yung iba. No, yung iba may status, religion, nationality, sexual orientation. No, kasi on the side of the employers, no, it is illegal for them to ask these personal questions or these personal details rather on the recruitment process. No, and it is done, ginagawa ito, or pinagbabawal to sa mga employers to ask this personal information because to avoid no discriminations. Okay? Now, which is you don't need to include this information, not unless dun sa weight and height if the position that you are applying for is merong specific height requirements. No, like sa applications for flight attendants, sa police, sa mga models and other jobs na kailangang may height requirements. Okay, pero kung wala namang height and weight requirements, you don't need to include that details in your resume. No, lalo na yung hobbies and interests. No, yung iba nakalagay pa ang details ng parents. Okay, may iba din na sinasama pa nila yung mga awards and recognitions na nare-receive nila since kinder, no, in elementary and high school, no? Mga example na nandito sa ating slide. No, nilagay pa nilang most behaved sila, most polite sila sa nung kinder, nung elementary, and ML champion tournament, ganyan, no? If it is something na not work related or academic related, you don't need to include that details. Okay? If it's not work or academic related, we don't need to include it in our resume. Okay? Dun sa achievements or recognitions, the only thing that you can include is your recent academic recognition. Like, let's say if you graduated as a cum laude or a magna cum laude, no? So that's the only time that you will include that achievement, no? Or recognition. Because we don't need to as an employer, no? We don't need to know those details kasi parang ang nagiging dating na ng resume nyo is slam book na siya, no? So yung mga importante and relevant lang dun sa position na pinag-a-applyan mo, yun lang ang kailangan mong ilagay. Okay, like the relevant work experience, work exposure, no, education, relevant trainings and certifications if meron, and skills. No, so these are the most important details, no, kesa dun sa mga hobbies and interests. Now, make sure na yung mga nakalagay is yung relevant and importante lang. Okay? Lalo na kadalasan may ilang applicants, no, kadalasan napapansin ko to sa mga fresh grads. No, lahat ng mga seminars or webinars na inattendan is nakalagay, no, na pagkahaba-haba na niya. Now, same thing with the seminars or trainings that you attended. Now, only indicate or ilalagay nyo lang yung mga seminars or trainings na relevant and related lang doon sa industry or line of work ng position na pinag-a-applyan mo. So you have to erase out all the details or the trainings, all the seminars that you attended na hindi naman importante or hindi related or hindi relevant dun sa position na pinag-a-applyan mo. Now, because the employers don't need to know that details. No, itong mga nakalista dito. No? Yan. Okay, next. Ayan. No pixelated or unprofessional photo. Okay? Now, this next thing that you should avoid no is placing pixelated and unprofessional photo. Okay? Now, since yung resume nyo should look like a professional document, okay, you should also match it with your attached photo. Okay? Kadalasan kasi may mga ilan no that the photos that they attach on their resumes are selfies. No, katulad ng example dito, selfies and crop photos. And when you do that, it will look like an unprofessional document. Okay? Now make sure na sakto lang din ang size niya ng photo na i-attach ninyo, which is normally the size of the photo should be somewhere around 1.5 inches to 2 inches square, no? And yung photo na i-attach nyo should be professionally taken, no? Well lit dapat yung sa picture ninyo, and dapat it should clearly show that you what you look like, no? And you should be wearing a professional or business casual attire in your resume photo. No? Good thing may mga ilang printing shops naman available no that they can edit your picture with the colors no to make it more professional. Okay? Next. Ayan. Next is don't include an objective. Okay? Replace objective with professional summary or career summary. Okay? This next step, which is not to include an objective, no, I actually learned this from a colleague no in the US who works with the HR department, no, and that is something ang explanation kasi niya, that is something too obvious, no, that you really don't need to include this objective in your resume. Okay, because your intention to apply can be read already no in your application letter or in your letter of intent. Okay, and when I ask why the objective should not be included anymore no in the resume, kasi ako personally before no nasanay rin ako that the objective is always included no in the resume that I'm always doing. Okay? Pero may point naman siya nung tinanong ko siya kung bakit the objective should not be included. Now, because the moment that you applied and submitted your resume, no, it's too obvious that your objective is that you want the job and you want to impress. Okay? So, dahil bago na ngayon, you have to remove your objective statement and replace it with a professional summary. No, lalo na kung may mga naging previous job positions ka, no, na relevant with the qualifications of the positions that you are applying for, no. Itong professional summary na ito or tinatawag din ito na career summary, no, it should deliver your elevator pitch, no, na kung saan in approximately 3 to 5 lines, no, explain mo in a summary format kung bakit you're a good fit for the position and you are summarizing your relevant qualifications and career achievements. Okay? In your case, na let's say you are fresh grads and you don't have any career experience yet. Now, prior to your application, it's okay na you don't have a professional summary. Okay? So you have to replace, you have to remove your objective, and you can proceed with other details, no? Pero kung may mga experiences ka na, may mga previous qualifications and experience ka na, you can put your professional summary or career summary. Okay? Next. Yan. Don't include your full mailing address. Okay? This is one of the information that you don't need to include, no? Diniscuss ko na siya kanina. This is one of the unnecessary information, no, na hindi na dapat natin kailangang ilagay. Okay? Wala na isulat doon. Anyways, kasi kung dati, no, sanay tayo na nilalagay ang buong address natin, no, gone are the days when it was required, no, to include your entire mailing address on your resume. Okay? I recommend removing all location information, no, including your house number and your street name. No, kasi you can just provide your local address, let's say the barangay and the city only. No, dahil nag-a-apply pa lang kayo, do not include your street address because it is not yet necessary na mag-provide ka or i-provide mo yung buong address mo, no, at that stage of the recruitment process. Okay? And once na ginawa mo kasi to, in-include mo yung buong address mo, no, it can be considered a security risk. No, it can be considered a security risk. No, lalo na, let's say for example, you submitted your resume sa mga online submissions, no, or online job applications, no, na kung saan you are putting your resume in public, no? So paano kung pagtripan yung address mo, no? So it's security risk if you do that. So don't include your full mailing address. No, dito sa example natin, dito sa slide, kung nakikita nyo, nilagay niya yung buong address niya, yung street name, yung number, house number, street name, no? So, Bagong Bayan, Teresa Rizal. Because you can just only, if you want, or minsan, let's say for example, sa resume or sa trabaho na pinag-a-applyan mo, parang it's a requirement na dapat yung mag-a-apply ay within these locations lang kasi sila lang yung i-cater. Now you can write down the address pero it should be the barangay, no, in the city. Okay? The local address, not including the street number, the street name, and the house number. Okay? No, so these are ano pa ba? Meron pa ba tayo? Yan. Do not include a list of character references on or the line references available upon request. Okay? Kasi kung before, nasanay tayo na lagi natin nilalagay ang character references. No, ngayon, while we are on the application process, no, character references are not yet necessary for you to provide. No, kasi if your employer would request references for checking, that's the only time that you will provide it. But on your resume, for application, pag nag-a-apply pa lang kayo on the application and recruitment process, hindi na natin yan kailangan ilagay sa ating resume. Okay? Because we need to ensure that yung resume natin is only one page. Okay? Now, so these are some of the things that I noticed. No, itong mga don'ts na shinare ko sa inyo, the 6 don'ts or the things that you don't need to include or to write down in your resume. Now, these are some of the things that I noticed now from the resumes that you submitted. Okay? And you need to start removing, no, those points that I mentioned, no, because those details are unnecessary details in your resume. No, and you have to take note na yung resume nyo, your resume dapat one page lang siya. No, it is acceptable for more than one page, lalo na kung marami kang work experiences that are relevant and related. And let's say for example, dahil sa dami ng mga work experiences mo or work exposure mo or experiences mo na relevant and related, that hindi na siya magkasya sa isang page, that's the only time na acceptable if your resume is more than one page. Okay? But the general rule is your resume should only be one page. Okay? All right. Now let's go with giving you some tips that you can use on your job interview. Okay? Which is for me, no, it is much more easier ngayon, no, it's much more easier sa panahon ngayon because you are just right there, no, at the comfort of your home. No, especially sa generation natin, we would prefer to do interviews online, no, or to work online, no, since majority are now adapting to these online changes, no, especially job interviews. No, so the tips that I will share with you are tips that you can do both online, no, and face-to-face interviews. Okay. Yeah, the first one is be conscious of what's in the view. Okay, so this first step, no, that I'm sharing with you, no, is a tip. If your job interview is via online or a virtual interview, no, be conscious of what's in the view, or be conscious of what's in your background. Okay, kung ano yung background mo, it should not be something na madidistract ang kausap mo on the other end, no, because of some distractions. Okay, since I'm always almost, no, in an online meeting, madalas ako nasa online meeting or online interviews, no, ang dami ko ng experiences na there are a lot of embarrassing moments on the end ng kausap ko because of some distractful background. No, naalala ko tuloy may isang beses no, meron akong isang ini-evaluate, no, for a marketing position. Bigla siyang nilapitan ng nanay niya na bagong ligo, and yung nanay niya nakatapis lang. No, and sabi niya, at kasi talagang ang lakas pa ng, alam mo yung nanay na malakas yung boses na pinapagalitan yung anak. No, sabi sa kanya, nasa computer ka na naman, maligo ka muna, baho-baho muna, no, isang araw ka pala. Isang araw ka pa ata huling naligo. Parang ganon, no? No, it's funny, natawa kami, but on the end, dun sa ini-evaluate namin, kinakausap namin, it's embarrassing for him, no, na hindi na tuloy siya tumuloy dun sa kanyang application process, sa recruitment process niya. Baka nahiya na siya, although qualified naman sana siya, no, because of that situation. Parang siguro na-embarrass siya, nahiya siya, hindi na siya tumuloy. Okay, now you also really need to choose a background or a corner, no, kasi dahil nasa bahay lang tayo, and nasa bahay lang din yung mga ibang tao na kasama natin sa bahay, they are getting a little more casual. Okay? But since you are in a job interview or in an online or virtual interview, no, that's why you have to keep your background or place distraction free, no, as much as possible. Okay? Now, I think it is also better for you to inform other people, no, inside your place, for them to don't distract you because you are having this job interview, no? And once the job interview is done, no, let's say nagpaalam na sa yung interviewers mo, no, you also have to make sure that you ended the call successfully, no? Funny thing na we have experiences, no, na dahil they are not much used to using Zoom or Google Meet, no, akala nila they ended the call, parang ang nangyari ata na close lang nila ang window nila or yung Zoom page is na minimize lang sa desktop view nila, no, akala nila wala na, no, but they are still on the call, no, accidentally. Yung mga comments nung applicants na yun for the job interview, naririnig mo, no, ang sungit naman ng interviewer, no, yung hindi mo alam, narinig na pala, no, and meron din akala niya, no, na close na niya or na end na niya ang call. Pagtayo niya, naka boxer brief lang siya with Hello Kitty printed designs, no. Nakaporma lang pala siya sa pangtaas, no, but yun, so nung pagtayo niya, lahat kami nagtawanan. And that's the other thing, you also have to be professionally dressed, no, na you look decent as if you are really going to a physical interview. Okay? And we have a lot of those funny moments sa mga na-interview namin. No, kasi normally as an interviewer, no, after the interview process is pinapa-end, no, yung call for the applicant, and we have to stay on the call because we need to deliberate the result of that interview. Okay? However, since the applicant ay not really focused and not conscious enough with the view or with the background and surroundings, no, with the call, na kung na-end na ba or not conscious if he or she is still on the call, no, it is somehow embarrassing. Okay? That's why this is the first thing, no, that I shared with you, no, and the thing that you should consider if you will be in an online job interview. Okay? Next is the next tip, no, that we should consider for an online interview is for you to prepare your equipment, and of course, be ready with yourself. Okay? Now, syempre, if you are in a physical or face-to-face interview, no, we don't want to be late on the set time of that interview, no, and we need to arrive on time. Okay, sa virtual interview it's also the same thing. Okay, if you are on a virtual job interview, no, you don't want to waste much of the time of the interviewer just because your camera or your microphone or earphones are not properly working. Now, so we need to get ready beforehand. Okay, maybe an hour early or half an hour early, and you have to show up with the meeting link early. Also, just be ready beforehand. No, so that when the interview time starts, no, comfortable ka na and you're not distracted and you are not nervous. No, hindi ka nakabado. Okay? Now, and speaking of kabado, the next step is to demonstrate positive body language and behavior. Okay? Now, in a job interview, whether it's a physical or a virtual interview, no, you have to make sure, no, na pinapakita mo sa interviewer mo na you are engaged. No, and how you can do that, paano mo maipapakita that you are engaged? No, paano mo maipapakita yung positive body language mo na you are engaged with the interview or with the conversation in an interview, no? uh, Maipapakita mo yon through conversational eye contact. Now, what else? You are not also slumping or you are not leaning, no, not leaning on your seats. Now, because you need to think about how you would be presenting yourself. Okay? And you can do that by showing different verbal or non-verbal language. No, para maipakita mo that na you are focused, no, that you can pay attention and that you are not distracted looking somewhere else or looking at your phone, no, or just looking down, no. And in general, you need to be focused, no, and present with both of your verbal and non-verbal language. Okay? Now, I mentioned earlier, no, that if you need to show that you are engaged with the conversation, no, and that's the reason why you need to be aware of your non-verbal language. No, it's because you need to show na engaging ang interview. No, and you do that with your eyes. No, you do that with your smile and you do that with your energy. No, hindi mo dapat ipa-feel sa nag-i-interview sa'yo that you are bored. No, kasi yung sinabi ko kanina na you don't need to lean sa seats mo, you don't need to slam, no? Kasi once na let's say sa pagkakaupo mo pa lang, no? Hindi ka nakaupo ng maayos, but instead nakalin ka or nakasandal ka sa inuupuan mo, and it seems na parang hindi ka interested sa interview, parang bored ka. No, kasi 'di ba mafi-feel naman natin kung yung kausap natin is nabobored without them telling us. And you need to show that you are interested with this job and that you are applying for. Okay? That you are interested dun sa interview, no? Because it's going to leave a lasting impression, no, that you are not fit in the position kapag ginawa mo 'yon, no? Kasi parang wala kang gana, no? Parang bored ka, meaning hindi ka interesado dun sa posisyon, no, na pinag-a-applyan mo. Okay? Next. Yan, so you have to listen attentively to the interviewer. Okay? Now, one of the most important tip now that you should consider is to listen attentively to the person who's interviewing you. Okay? Kadalasan kasi may mga applicants, no, ang nangyayari, lalo na kapag kinakabahan ka, no, is yung eager ka na matapos ang interview. No, and eager ka na makapagsalita, eager ka na makapagsagot. No, na hindi ka na nakikinig or hindi mo na napapakinggan ng maayos ang tinatanong ng interviewer. Okay? Based from my experience, no, interviewing applicants, dahil sa kaba nila, no, naapektuhan ang pakikinig nila attentively sa questions, no? Ang layo ng nagiging sagot nila dun sa tinanong kasi nga hindi ka na nakinig, no? Kasi masyado ka nang kinabahan, masyado ka nang kinakabahan. No, lalo na kung nagme-memorize ka ng sagot sa mga possible na itanong, tapos busy ka mag-recall ng minemorize mo kaya wala ka sa focus makinig attentively, no? Paano na lang kung mahina ang boses ng interviewer mo, no? Then may series na yung set of questions, yung interviewer ang tinatanong niya is a set of questions. And tinanong sa'yo, no? Tapos may questions ka na hindi mo nasagot. No, so that's why you really have to focus and listen attentively to the person interviewing you. Okay? You should really listen attentively. No, and your body posture and gesture should also reflect with that. No, kasi minsan it's effective that we let our interviewer feel no that we understand what they are saying. Okay? Kasi 'di ba minsan kunwari pag nag-lecture si teacher or si teacher is saying something and for you to show na nakikinig ka, no, and naiintindihan mo, is tumatango ka like this, no? So it's a gesture to show that you are listening. Okay? Ganon din sa interview, no? But you really have to make sure that you listen attentively so that you can correctly answer the question that is being asked from you. Okay? Next is for you to think first before you speak. Okay, think before you speak. Okay? In an interview, it will reflect no na kapag binigyan ka ng tanong and hindi ka muna nag-isip bago magsalita. No, since you are eager with the interview, normally ang nangyayari is napupuno ka ng filler words like something like that, no? Kasi ang ginagawa mo, nagsasalita ka na, then saka ka lang nag-iisip ng sasabihin mo. Kaya halos lahat ng nabanggit mo, filler words. Okay? And umikot-ikot na yung sinasabi mo kung ano-ano na yung sinasabi mo kasi hindi ka muna nag-isip bago magsalita. Okay? Now, paano mo gagawin ang think before you speak? No, how you should do it. Okay? First is be comfortable with silence. Okay? Meaning, it's fine na mag-pause ka muna, mag-stop ka muna, and think of what to answer. No, and once na naisip mo ang isasagot mo, no, then that's the time that you will speak up your answer. Okay? You have to think first before you speak. Okay? Pero wag naman yung masyadong mahaba na, let's say like 2 minutes ka nang nakatulala, kakaisip, nakapause, 2 minutes ka nang nakapause. No, kasi normally, if you are comfortable and you are with your senses, no, that moment that we hear the question is magpa-function agad ang brain natin. And it will only take you seconds for you to come up with an answer. Okay? You just need to think what to answer so that you can articulate your words. Okay? When you say it. Okay? Wag mo namang paabutin na nakatulala ka na for 2 or more minutes no trying to think. Okay? So think before you speak. Okay? Pause ka muna for a moment. Pause muna for a moment. Think kung ano yung isasagot mo, no? So that you can have parang an outline sa utak mo na hindi mawawala, no? Para hindi ka mawawala sa mga sinasabi mo, para hindi paikot-ikot yung isasagot mo. Okay? So once again, think before you speak. Okay? So kunwari may sinabi or may tinanong ang interviewer mo, no, you don't have to respond really fast naman. Okay? It's not all about the time. It's about what you say and how you will answer the question. Okay? Now, meron akong isang experience, meron akong isang applicant na in-interview before, no, na na-amaze ako on the way how he said, let me just think about it. All right. Then he goes on answering the question. Okay, you can actually do that. Now, but make sure that you will really think of an answer. And of course, be honest with your answers. Okay, next is to avoid filler words. Okay, because this filler words like these fillers are useless. Okay, kasi once you can't avoid using too much fillers or filler words, no, it only means that you are not confident with what you are saying. Okay, kaya ngayon pa lang you should train yourself already on how to answer questions, no? Or on how to converse what you are trying to say with less or without any filler words, no? As much as possible. Okay? Kasi once again, during the job interview, no, na puro filler words yung sinasabi mo, it would only mean one thing dun sa interview mo. Okay? That you are not confident with what you are saying for them. You are not saying to them, no, and it would make look na hindi kayo nag-prepare for that interview. No, so instead of using filler words, no, pause na lang kayo, no, and think what you would like to say. No, kasi parang ang nangyayari is those filler words, nababanggit natin siya, it is somehow like na navo-voice out natin while we are trying to think. Now, practice yourself na habang nag-iisip ka, eliminate voicing it out. Now, pause, think, then speak. Now, let's say, for example, instead of saying, when I was in college, I'm good with this. Now, you can just say, when I was in college, I am good with these skills. No? Kahit medyo mabagal kayo magsalita, okay lang yon. It means you are thinking before you speak. Na wag lang kayo mag filler words no while you are thinking, no, like because like no, and based from my experience, no, ang pinakamaraming counts ng filler words na nagagamit ng mga interviews is because ang nasa perspective ng interviewer is because to ng because kaya nga tinatanong because I don't know, no? So avoid filler words because it will look like you are not confident and unprepared with your interview. Okay? We are on the last slide. Okay? The most important tip that you should consider is to be yourself, but be your best self. And you have to know exactly what you want them to understand about you, and that you have the potential, and you have the strengths, and you have the talent. Okay? And how you can make those as your leverage, no, and make a real difference in the job that you are applying for. Okay? So those are just some of the tips, no, that I can share with you on how you can ace your job application and your job interview in order for you to land a job. Okay? And as a final note, no, for this lecture, itong subject natin na office simulation, it's supposed to give you actual simulations or practical experience, no, inside a real office. No, kasi an office simulation and office practicum are designed to help you learn how to apply knowledge or general principles to real office situations, no, to real office problems and to real office concerns. Okay. However, we've got no options to do that now, since we are not yet allowed to deploy every one of you, no, to offices. Kasi yung mga offices, they are also taking their precautions, no, with their limited capacity for workforce allowed inside their office, no, because of some social distancing protocols as well, no, that they need to follow. Okay, but I do hope, no, na with this limited options that we have is that you learn something, no, or somehow from the information available dun sa prepare na instructional materials. And I'm also hoping na kahit pa paano you also learned something from me, no, from those additional information, no, that I shared with you on my recorded lectures, no, na wala dun sa instructional material, no, which is something that you also need to know, no? And those lectures are more on tips or preparations before you go on board in a real office. Okay? And once you are accepted or get hired, no, in the real marketplace, that will be the start of your real learning experience. No? You need to make sure na once totoong nagtatrabaho na kayo in a real marketplace, no, in a real corporate organization, no, you should treat it as a learning experience, no, for you to learn about professionalism, for you to learn about setting goals, and for you to know what to do in a certain work-related situations. Okay, so that's it for now. Maybe you have some questions that you wanted to ask me about office-related inquiries or questions. You can do that. You can leave your questions sa ating comment section kasi I will upload this recorded lecture sa ating YouTube channel. If you have questions that you wanted to ask about work-related or office-related, you can do that and I will take time to answer it.